Okay, so people think about the future of war, right? Usually it's like super high-tech weapons and stuff.
Yeah, lasers and spaceships, that kind of thing.
Right. But what we're looking at today with this NWCC document from NATO, it's almost like they're saying, hold on, the battleground itself is about to get weird.
It really is a fascinating document. They're basically tossing out the old rule book on conflict.
So, like, no more politely declared wars, no clear front line.
Wrong. The NWCC, it really hammers on this idea of persistent competition, and not just from, other countries' armies. They're talking about these non-state groups wielding influence in ways we're only just starting to grasp.
It's very scary, honestly. Like, how do you even plan for that?
You have to be ready for anything, anywhere, at any time. The NWCC even says it straight up. Warfare is becoming boundless.
Boundless. Okay, now that's just unnerving. Does that mean even trying to define warfare is pointless now?
It's more like acknowledging that the old categories just don't fit anymore. Think about it. Election interference, economic sabotage, weaponized narratives spreading on social media, it's all connected.
And it's all happening at the same time. You've got these hybrid threats popping up everywhere. It makes you wonder, can a traditionally military alliance like NATO even keep up?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And this document is their attempt to answer it. They're basically admitting they need to be ready for everything, everywhere, all at once.
So the future battlefield is looking pretty chaotic. But then, on top of all this, the NWCC drops this concept of a projected threat curve.
Yeah, it's ambitious.
It's like they're trying to predict who the big bad is going to be 20 years from now.
Ambitious, but also where this document gets really interesting. Because, they're not just looking at the usual suspects.
You're saying it goes beyond, say, Russia with everything going on in Ukraine.
Exactly. While the war in Ukraine is obviously a major factor, they're also looking at the potential trajectories of other players over the next 20 years. China, for instance.
Which on the surface seems like a totally different kind of challenge.
Exactly. And that's the point. It's not just about their military capabilities, though those are obviously growing. It's about understanding their ambitions, their economy, their influence. China's Belt and Road Initiative, for example, has huge implications for global trade and security.
It's like they're trying to predict tomorrow's headlines today. Do you think it's more about preparedness or about, like, trying to shape the future to their advantage?
It's probably a bit of both. They even lay out a whole proactive strategy based on what they call the 6 outs.
Ah, yes, the 6 outs. It does have a certain ring to it, I'll grant them that. But 6, that's a lot to juggle.
Well, it is a complex world out there.
Okay, fair enough. So what are these 6 outs, and are they as intimidating as they sound?
All right, so we've got outthink, outexcel, outfight, outpace, outpartner, and outlast. It might sound a bit like a marketing slogan, but each one represents a key element of how NATO plans to navigate this complex future.
So more than just flexing military muscle.
Oh, absolutely. It's about being smarter, more adaptable, more interconnected than any potential adversary.
I'm sensing some of those nuances you love coming into play here. Let's break these down one by one. What does it mean to outthink your enemy in a world where information itself is a weapon?
It's like, imagine a chess game, right? But your opponent isn't just trying to take your pieces. They're messing with your head the whole time.
Okay, yeah, that's way above my pay grade when it comes to chess.
You need to know them better than they know themselves. That's what outthink is about. The NWCC calls it cognitive superiority.
So we're not just talking about, like, having better spies or something.
It's way more than intel gathering. It's analysis, synthesis, understanding their motivations, their biases, even like the arguments happening inside their government.
So you can predict their moves before they even make them.
Exactly. You see their next 5 steps while they're still figuring out step 2. Huge advantage in today's world.
Yeah, especially with information overload and all that. Makes sense. Okay, outexcel. That one sounds like it came straight out of some corporate retreat, honestly.
A bit of a buzzword, yeah. But in this document, it means aiming for excellence across the board. Training, leadership, tech, how they operate, logistics, literally everything.
So you're the best there is at every level. Even your enemies got to respect it.
Exactly. They're trying to create a military culture that's constantly pushing, adapting, setting the bar impossibly high.
Okay, I'm seeing how these outs kind of build on each other. First, the strategic thinking, then being amazing at the doing, which brings us to outfight. Now, that one sounds more like the classic military stuff.
It does. But even then, it's not just about winning battles on a map. It's about being decisive in all these new domains we've been talking about.
Right, right. Cyber attacks, disinformation, that's all part of it now.
It's all part of the same fight. And they have to be flexible. The NWCC talks about being ready to fight anywhere, from cities to cyberspace, the Arctic, you name it.
Speaking of speed, well, that's got to be where Outpace comes in. We talk about rapid response teams and all that.
This one is all about agility.
Yeah.
The NWCC is basically acknowledging that whoever can analyze, decide, and act fastest has the edge. No question.
Makes you think about that conflict in Nagorno-Karabakh a while back. Drones really changed the game there. Is Outpace NATO saying they need to be on the cutting edge of that kind of tech disruption?
Absolutely. It's about adapting to new tech faster than the other guy. Always evolving your tactics, your training, the whole approach.
Always be evolving. Got it. Okay, outpartner. This one feels more like, I don't know, diplomacy than bombs and bullets.
It is interesting, because NATO's always been about alliances. But this goes further.
Further how?
They're talking about NGOs, private companies, universities, any group that can help build a safer world they want to work with.
So it's less about might makes right and more about, I don't know, crowdsourcing global security.
It's an interesting way to put it.
Right.
But yeah, they're realizing nobody has all the answers anymore. To solve these really complex problems, you got to bring in expertise from everywhere.
Makes sense, actually. Okay, final, outlast. Gotta say, kind of ominous vibe on that one. We're talking about prepping for endless war here.
Well, endless might be a bit much.
Okay, good.
But it is about being ready for the long haul. Strategic patience, resilience. That's what the NWCC is saying.
Because future conflicts, they might not be these quick, decisive things anymore.
Right. Could be prolonged tension, gray zone stuff, even conflict that drags on for ages.
So you need to handle the pressure, adapt when things change, never lose the will to fight, potentially for a really long time.
And that's not easy, especially for democracies. You need public support to last that long.
Which is why this document also stresses clear communication, getting the message out there, making sure everyone understands the stakes.
Exactly. It's not just winning battles, it's winning hearts and minds too.
Man, what a to-do list. And those were just the 6 outs. Where do we even go from here?
From here, the NWCC dives into what they call the 5 warfare development imperatives. Basically, how they plan to actually achieve all this.
Warfare development imperatives. Sounds kind of like a Tom Clancy title. So how are these different from the 6 outs?
The 6 outs are like the big picture goals, the imperatives. Those are the actual tools to get to those goals.
Got it, got it. So less about the what, more about the how. All right, hit me with imperative number 1.
The most important one, maybe. Cognitive superiority. Builds right off that outthink concept we were discussing.
Right, right. Information's only good if you actually know what it means and how to use it.
Exactly. This is about way more than just collecting intel. It's about understanding those little details, making connections.
So basically, winning the information war before it even begins. And I'm guessing this is where things like AI and big data come in.
Absolutely. Those technologies are going to be key for sifting through all that info, seeing the patterns, but there's a catch. It's not just about the tech itself, right? You can have the best algorithms in the world, but...
Right. Someone's got to make sense of it all, connect the dots.
Exactly. Even with AI and all that, you still need human analysts who can look at the big picture.
So NATO's trying to train, like, soldier scholars, warriors who can code as well as they can fight?
Kind of.
Yeah.
You need leaders who get the tech but can also think critically, adapt on the fly, make decisions with limited information.
Not easy. Okay, moving down our list here. We've got cognitive superiority. What's next? Layered resilience. All about being ready for the curveballs. And not just having a backup plan, but like...
Backup plans for your backup plans.
Pretty much. This document, the NWCC, really stresses building defenses that don't just survive, but adapt.
Survive what, though? I mean, we talking cyber attacks, pandemics?
All of it. Plus the good old-fashioned shooting war, obviously. And it's not just the military that needs to be resilient either. You're saying civilians, everyday folks, they're part of this too.
Totally. The way the world is now, one thing goes wrong, it ripples everywhere.
Yeah.
Disrupts supply chains, critical infrastructure.
Suddenly everyone's hurting. Okay, so it's got to be the whole society being tough, adaptable, makes sense.
Yeah.
What's next?
Imperative number 3 is influence and power projection. Bit more on the, well...
Aggressive side.
A little, yeah. Most people hear power projection, they think, dropping bombs, showing force.
Right, flexing those military muscles.
The NWCC sees it broader than that. It's about using all the tools you've got, diplomacy, economics, even information, to kind of nudge the world in a good direction.
So less about reacting to threats, more about preventing them in the first place.
Exactly. Build strong partnerships, promote your values, call out bad actors, Make it clear that starting a fight's a losing proposition.
The best defense is a good offense, but on a global scale. Love it. Okay, 2 more imperatives on the docket. What's next?
Cross-domain command. This is about getting all the different parts of the military working together seamlessly.
Seamlessly. Across, like, land, sea, air. We had adding cyber and space in there now, too.
The whole shebang. And that means not just new tech, but a new way of thinking about war altogether.
Because before, you could have, like, a naval campaign, a ground war, and separate things, even if they're kind of related.
Now it's all connected, happening at the same time. You need to be able to command across all those domains at once.
That's gotta be crazy complex, logistically, even just culturally.
Huge challenge. Imagine getting, like, the old school generals used to doing things a certain way.
To work with the young tech guys who live and breathe cyber warfare.
Exactly. But the NWCC makes it clear. NATO knows this is the future, and they're putting in the work. New tech, new strategies, and new leaders who can handle all this.
All right, last but not least, integrated multi-domain defense. Is that just the defense version of what we were just talking about?
Pretty much. If cross-domain command is how you attack, this is how you defend.
Yeah.
Against anything, anywhere.
So, cyber attacks from halfway across the world, hypersonic missiles, gotta be able to see it all coming.
And react. Fast. With whatever's necessary.
Sounds like NATO's trying to build this, like, ultimate global shield. Protect against anything. Ambitious, to say the least. Think they can pull it off.
Honestly? Who knows? The NWCC, it lays out the goal, but even they admit it's a long road.
Yeah, no crystal ball for how technology is going to evolve or how international relations will shake out.
Exactly. But this document, it's a huge sign that NATO's taking the long view. Not just planning for the next war, but
the next generation of war.
And that generation. It's being born right now.
Makes you think. Well, you've given us a lot to digest today, this NWCC. It's
a bit of a wild ride.
To say the least. The future is uncertain, that much is clear. But hey, at least we're not going into it blind. Thanks for breaking it all down for us today.
Happy to do it. Always fascinating to dig into this stuff.
Until next time, everyone, keep asking the big questions. This has been The Deep Dive, signing off.